Hey everyone, it's Marissa, your Usborne book lady, and I'm going to share with you some of my favorite books for reading aloud or for independent reading, depending on the age of the child or the interest, because you should never stop reading aloud to your child until they tell you to stop. So these are going to be all over the spectrum, and they're in no order whatsoever. So we have some big kid books here to start with. Return to the Lost World is really cool. It's about this kid who is the grandson of the guy who's from the guy that wrote 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, also wrote the dinosaur book, The Lost Island, The Lost World. He's the grandson of the guy who discovered that island, and everyone thinks his grandfather is crazy, and he ends up going back to the island. It's really cool. The Last 13 is this really cool science fiction-y fantasy. It's more fantasy type thing about these kids who are dream walkers. They can control reality in their dreams, and they have to save the world. Conspiracy 365 is a seriously high interest, fast moving series about a kid who has to figure out what happened to his father. This guy approaches him and says, "Your father didn't die, he was murdered. They're going to kill you too. You have 365 days." And so the clock starts then, and he has to figure out what's going on and save himself and his family. Operation Robot Storm is about a secret division of the British military that's made up of Yetis. It's really funny. It's like part prose and part graphic novel. So there's graphic novel parts interspersed as well. It's really cute. Wheel Nuts would be great for kids that are into like Captain Underpants type stuff. Got lots of potty humor. It's about this rich guy who has a race through the desert, and it's this really dangerous race, and these people are ridiculous that race it. It's really funny. So that's Wheel Nuts series. These two are for kids that are just starting to read independently. They're out of readers, but the chapter book room at the library might be a little bit overwhelming for them. These are called first chapter books. So this is Billy B and Hey Jack. There are 12 of these, and they're best friends. They live next to each other, and they're best friends, so they show up in each other's stories. So even though a boy might not necessarily pick up Billy B first, once he reads all of the Hey Jacks and he knows Billy, he might read these next. And then once they're done with these, there's another series called the Billy B Mystery Series that's like a next level up. The Web is a beautiful story about a girl who's really great friends with her great-grandmother, and it's her coming to terms with her grandmother aging and moving into a nursing home. The Debt is another really fast-moving, high-interest story about a kid who finds out that his family has this ages-old debt to this organization. It's like the mafia, but not as nice, and he has to fulfill 6 favors to them, or he will literally lose a pound of flesh. Minas Quest is a fantastic girl power type book set in Roman occupied Britain, and it's got a lot of really great like SAT building vocabulary in it too. Really well written. And that's a trilogy. That's the first book in the series. Make Up or Breakup is one of our choose your own adventure. These covers appeal to like tweenish girls, but the content is very much high school. There's no sex or anything like that, but they're all high school girls, and so they're very much into boy chasing, and they're very preoccupied with boys. So if that is something that you're concerned about, maybe steer your 10-year-old away from this and get it for your 15 or 16-year-old instead. Okay, so I have some picture books coming up next. B is for Bedtime is this really great alphabet book that walks us through getting ready for bed from A through Z. It's got a beautiful lulling rhythm to it, and it's just a really sweet, adorable little picture book. It's one of my favorites. Tale of Two Beasts might be my actual favorite picture book that we have. It tells the same story from first from the perspective of this little girl who's walking through the woods and finds this animal hanging from a tree and rescues it. And then it tells the same story from the perspective of this animal. We find out that maybe she didn't really rescue him after all. The Gobble Gobble Moo Tractor book is a fantastic picture book that is about sheep. This is going to be all torn up because this is my son's copy and he got it when he was too young to take care of books. So this is about sheep who's sitting in the tractor and he's making the sound that the engine does. He's saying bah, and Cat comes along and he says, can I do it too? I can make the sound that the engine makes when it goes faster and starts to wiggle and jiggle. Purr. And then all these other animals come in and they start making engine sounds and they all get together and their animal sounds start sounding like the engine, and it's so cute. It's a really adorable story. Animally is another one of my favorite picture books that we have. I'm not going to talk about it because I have another video that's just about Animally. I would be remiss if I did not bring up our Shine a Light books, where you shine a light behind the page and it reveals hidden pages. But once again, I have an individual video just about these, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that. Big Book of Little Stories is my favorite collection of read-aloud stories that we have for preschool age kids. It has this great mixture of fractured fairy tales and regular fairy tales and original stories and Aesop's fables. And there are several stories in here by a woman named Susanna Davidson, who was my favorite author for retelling fairy tales. And my favorite version of The Three Little Pigs is in this little collection. A Voice for Kansas is a great historical fiction novel about a girl who lives in the Kansas Territory before it was a state. I have several of our illustrated stories here for you. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about these, but our illustrated stories are great collections. Many of them have short stories that are great read-alouds or independent reading before bed because they have a natural stopping point. Some of them, like this one, have longer stories in them. And we have a ton of illustrated stories, and they're fantastic. EJ-12 is one of my favorite chapter books. It's about a girl who's a spy. She's in the under 12 division of a military agency called Shine. And finally, the Usborn Shakespeare collection is 5 Shakespeare plays retold in a really great, approachable way. I fully intend to read these aloud to my daughter. She's 6 now, and honestly, I might read them aloud to her right now. She was looking at them when I was pulling the books out to make videos today. So those are some of my favorite read-alouds. If you've stuck around for this long, thank you so much. If you like this video, please like me on Facebook. Like my Facebook page, www.facebook.com/booksbymarisa. Follow me on YouTube, and make sure to ask about my VIP page. Thanks so much, and have a great day.